Hi, everyone. Good morning. We are recording live for the Soapbox. This is our very first episode. And today we have Dr. Michael Ziccardi. Welcome. He's our first episode podcaster.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get started, we'll just go ahead and give a background overview of you, if that's okay. So up on the screen, we have all of your amazing achievements here and ready to go. He received his veterinary degree as well as his master's and doctorate in epidemiology from here. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wonderful. And since 1996, Dr. Michael Ziccardi has acted as an oil spill response veterinarian and coordinator during more than 50 spills nationally and internationally. Is that a bigger number now?
It is. It's closer to 100 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, 100, not 50. So sorry about that. But
it is more than 50.
Yeah.
So yes, you're still right.
He has been a contract veterinarian for the California Department of Fish and Game, as well as program coordinator, senior wildlife veterinarian, assistant director, and now newly retired position from the director for California's Oiled Wildlife Care Network. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, wonderful. Lots of amazing positions that we're super excited to get into. But during these spills, looks like you worked as the deputy wildlife branch director at the commander post and the care processing group supervisor or clinical veterinarian at the rehab facility. Is that correct too?
Yeah.
Yeah. And last but not least, with all of these positions, he currently serves as the associate director of the Wildlife Health Center here at UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine and is the current executive director at the One Health Institute.
Yes.
Wow. Not a long list at all. And we'll just get started with a really cool question. So if you could be an animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting one. It's probably the animal that brought me into veterinary medicine in the first place. It's sea otters.
That's my favorite animal. That's my favorite
too.
animal. Why is it your favorite animal and why would you
They are... they're keystone animals in the environment. I did my undergraduate as a marine biologist, and that's why I came to Davis to work with Linda Lowenstein as a marine mammal pathologist and decided I wasn't smart enough to be a pathologist, so I became an epidemiologist.
Wow.
But floating on your back the entire time, having, shellfish every time you want to go in, looking happy. What's better than that?
I heard that the females, though, are pretty, or like the males are pretty gnarly where they bite the nose of the females, right?
Both the males and the females are pretty
So it's
I've worked with them, and we call them fur bags with teeth. And literally, you can grab them, and they can turn around in their own skin. So pharmaceuticals are our friends when it comes to sea otters.
That's a good one. I didn't know. I thought it was just the males, but it's actually both.
Yep.
No discrimination here. Okay, perfect. So we'll get into more of the questions now and we'll just have a conversation. But I know I just kind of word vomited all of your amazing positions that you've done over the years, but do you mind just telling us a little bit about your position and how you got into this work?
Sure. I gave you a little bit of why I came to Davis.
Yeah.
But my interest was always free-ranging wildlife. So never wanted to really practice clinical medicine. It was always with wildlife species. Getting into my senior year, got more interested in working with the state agencies and starting to do work. I was one of those students who didn't mind going out into the field and working on bighorn sheep and elk instead of going to class. Not that I recommend that, but it's always been an interest of mine. And it just so happens I was finishing my veterinary program at the same time as California's oil spill program was emerging. Wow. So I had the benefit of moving on into a master's and then a PhD specifically working on oiled wildlife for that, and then moved on to that to associate director and then director of the Oil Wildlife Care Network.
You make it seem so easy. You make it seem so easy.
I have been extremely fortunate in my career.
Yeah. It sounds like, so did you have like externships like when you were a senior that kind of helped you get into these positions?
I did in my senior year. So I'm old enough that we actually had a more diverse track system. I actually developed an individual track in the free-ranging wildlife during my senior year. So I was able to design the programs that I want. What I did was actually do externships in each of the main areas for wildlife that I could. So I had an externship at a zoo. I had an externship with the National Wildlife Health Center, Madison, Wisconsin. I actually did a 6-week externship in the Anza-Borrego Desert, tracking bighorn sheep and actually following and taking samples. And I worked in a private practice for exotic animals up in Roseville. And that's actually Vicki Joseph, who was the veterinarian for most of the falconry birds in this area too.
Oh.
So I tried to experience everything to see exactly what best suited, and it was free-ranging wildlife.
That sounds great. So cool. Thanks for letting us know. If you have any ideas, guys, on like how to be as cool as Dr. Michael Ziccardi, start thinking about your externships right now. It's pretty cool. And also, just as a segue to the next question, you're obviously the executive director of the One Health Institute. What does One Health actually mean? I know there's a lot of people, it's kind of a buzzword that we throw in here, but some people might not know what that means. And why should we care?
Yeah, you're right in that it is the flavor of the month almost. But as far as planetary health, One Health, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting, really, UC Davis is the founding place for One Health. Calvin Schwabe developing the idea of one medicine because of his appointment at the School of Medicine and then also working with the vet school. Really, One Health emerged from that. And so it's important to understand the history of it because we are the birthplace for One Health here.
Yeah.
But to me, One Health is not a specialty. It's an approach to applying a concept to what we're currently doing. So really what it is bringing people together. Transdisciplinary, it's another buzzword, but bringing all the different disciplines together to address large-scale issues that cross the human, animal, plant, and environmental boundaries. So really looking at health from a more holistic perspective and looking at all of the different inputs into how we can have a healthier ecosystem, planet, what have you. And it's always been a fascination of mine because with free-ranging wildlife health, really the environment, the plants, human encroachment, all those different elements that make up One Health are so important for free-ranging wildlife because they're, the boundaries of their areas are decreasing, the environments are being altered and destroyed either by humans or climate change or what have you. And so really, that's one of the reasons why the One Health Institute came from the Wildlife Health Center, because it was a way of applying a more broad perspective on the issues that relate to wildlife health and conservation.
And it just seems like, as another question, it could not only just be wildlife, right? It could be more so like domestic species within like a rural community as well, right?
And so that's one of the reasons I'm now the director of the California Pet Care Emergency Team as well. So that's the evolution of the VERT program that was here into a statewide program using the Wildlife Care Network model to apply One Health practices to domestic animals and livestock. So we're actually looking at that because disaster response, whether it's an oil spill, whether it's a flood, hurricane, etc., they are true One Health issues because it's not just the animals that we may be trained to treat, but let's say a disaster, a flood. If people can't have their pets cared for, they're going to put themselves at risk by not evacuating from those areas, right? And so focusing just on the veterinary element is not going to do the most good in that. So focusing on the humans, providing the shelters that allow them to bring their pets in, providing areas that they can bring their horses, their cattle, etc., but then also supporting them as they're recovering from those areas. It may not be direct veterinary medicine, but actually providing the social construct to allow them to repair their lives. Absolutely a huge impact we can have to society.
Definitely. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of teamwork involved.
Absolutely.
With One Health. Awesome. So we'll go into our next question. I think it's a great segue. So I know, again, with your multiple different positions and how you kind of move through this field, has your perspective on veterinary medicine changed at all when you were kind of starting off as a practicing wildlife veterinarian to more of an administrative role now as an executive director?
It has. Obviously, I would love to be out there jumping on deer and, treating oiled birds out there. But really, as I've had time working in those fields, I've realized that for better or worse, I'm good at coordinating complex programs and to bring people together to work on issues.
Mhm.
And so by me moving into more of an administrative role, more in a coordination role, what I can do is bring veterinarians and other people in to be able to do more of the hands-on clinical work. But it actually allows us to have a much greater impact overall. And, again, I love to, none of us want to have disasters, but when disasters occur, I love to go out there and get my hands dirty. But I guess I'm pretty good at managing emergencies at the time.
I would say so too. Yeah, I would say so. But would you say that you still, like, before, you retired that position of being in the oiled wildlife network, did you still have opportunities and time to go out and actually help alongside veterinarians as well? Or
I did. In California, we're fortunate to have extremely good funding for our program here in California, and we work closely with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah.
So I have a team of 12 people that work with me that are all UC Davis employees that can go out and do that work. And we actually have partnerships with another 45 organizations through the state. And we have about 1,500 people in our database that we can call on to do those things. So there's less call for me to do that. But even though I am stepping down from my California position, I am still involved at a national and international level.
Yeah.
So I'm actually part of a program that brings together the largest international organizations together to be able to respond anywhere in the world for spill response. And those are things where I will actually go out and do that.
That's really cool. Yeah. Super cool. Wow. It's amazing. And I guess right now I kind of segued into the next question, but do you have any specific goals that you hope to achieve with your current position?
Which position?
That's a great question. Let's just stick with your current position with, I guess you said that on the national level where you can go out and talk and go to these national responses, right?
We have goals in every position.
Yeah.
Sorry to be sarcastic on that one, but as far as the international oil spill areas, really our goals on that is to go to regions of great risk. Either there is a lot of oil being transported or produced, or there's highly sensitive species or habitats, and really work with the local communities to develop good wildlife plans. Accidents are going to occur. What we want to do is to try to minimize the damage, if at all possible, from that.
Yeah.
As far as goals here at the One Health Institute, I've been executive director for 4 years, been fortunate to follow in the footsteps of John Mazet as our founding executive director. We spent the last 4 years or so really defining our strategic plan for the One Health Institute with our vision is a healthy, thriving planet for all and by all. And what we want to be doing is to be implementing programs and projects that really do help us to create a better world. And doing that in the spirit of leadership, of equity, making sure equity is a large part of what we do. It is one of our 5 strategic aims, is to make sure that happens, making sure there's a spirit of community, making sure that we have sustainability, financial, as well as spiritual sustainability within who we work with, and then also stewardship of the world, making sure what we're doing is not damaging the planet in what we're trying to do.
Definitely. And I could see how that would occur with if you go into these like at high risk communities and you're working with different communities of people. That also just starts with, having that level of vulnerability to have cultural competency as well to work with these individuals, right?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the programs that we run out of One Health Institute is called One Health Workforce Next Generation. So we've actually trained literally tens of thousands of One Health practitioners throughout the world, mainly based out of Africa and Southeast Asia, with USAID funding. But having the ability to go in and assist people to learn the aspects of One Health so they can apply those tenets to their local communities to improve general health. There's absolutely nothing better than that.
Absolutely. Perfect. And I think this is our last question. So obviously I'm a veterinary student. As a veterinary student, you're talking to most likely an audience of very interested individuals in the veterinary medicine field who want to go into this field. Any advice for those who want to pursue a career in this field? Like, where do we start?
Yeah. Again, getting back to the definition of One Health, really, I think it's an approach to things versus a One Health career. I know there are certain programs that kind of market it as such, but really what we say is One Health is an attitude on how you approach your careers. So with people that are interested in this, what I say is pursue your passions, pursue the goals that you have as a career, but get the training and the knowledge of how the One Health tenets can help you take what you're interested in, and being it surgery, be it community practice, be it access to care programs, applying the One Health elements to that and think beyond just the animal that you may be doing an exam to, and thinking about the applications, how important that animal is to its owners, how important that family is to the community, how what they do impacts the environment. Thinking more broadly in whatever people want to do, that is true One Health.
Got it. Wow. I feel like I learned so much about One Health. Did you, Tundi?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of
Yeah, I know. So this is the end of our podcast for episode 1. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Ziccardi, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.